Verse 56. And the famine was over all the face of the earth. And Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptians. And the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt. And all countries came into Egypt to Joseph for to buy corn, because that famine was so sore in the land.
You got that? Now, let's go to Genesis 42:1.
Genesis 42:1. Now when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, Jacob said unto his sons, Why do ye look one upon another? And he said, Behold, I have heard that there is corn in Egypt. Get you down thither, and buy for us from thence, that we may live and not die.
So Jacob told the brothers, why y'all looking at each other? We need to eat. If there's corn in Egypt, go to Egypt so that we can live. Read.
And Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Egypt. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob sent not with his brethren, for he said, Lest peradventure mischief befall him. And the sons of Israel.
Take your time. Can you see?
Yeah.
Take your time, brother. You need a bigger Bible?
No, I'm good.
Okay, go ahead.
And the sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. For Joseph was the governor over the land.
He was what?
And Joseph was the governor over the land.
So don't tell us that Israel did not rule Egypt. Read.
And he it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth. And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself stranger to them, and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, Whence come ye? And they said, From the land of Canaan to buy food. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew him not.
So why didn't his brothers know him? Because he was looking like an Egyptian. He was looking like an Egyptian. Imhotep is his name. Joseph. Let's go to Genesis 46:30. Let's go straight to it. Genesis 46:30. I don't have time to go through all the scriptures on this. We're all a little late, but I want to go through them, as many as we can. Genesis 46, and start at the 30th verse.
Genesis 46:30. And Israel said unto Joseph, Now let me die, since I have seen thy face, because thou art yet alive. And Joseph said unto his brethren, and unto his father's house, I will go up and show Pharaoh, and say unto him, My brethren and my father's house, which were in the land of Canaan, are come unto me. And the men are shepherds.
And the men are what?
And the men are shepherds.
And the men are shepherds. Just remember that. Because the name that the Egyptians gave us means shepherd kings, which is Hyksos. We were shepherds in Canaan, and we became kings of Egypt. So the word Hyksos is how they are hiding the fact that the children of Israel ruled Egypt. It's not just the Europeans that are hiding the fact that we ruled in Egypt. The Africans are too. All the nations are against the children of Israel, including the Egyptians. And you see a lot of brothers in this Western world holding on to Afrocentric teachings and holding on to Egyptology. But if they was to go to Egypt today, they wouldn't get accepted. They can bring all their Egyptian books of the dead and all these other books they have. They go to Egypt right now and they be like, man, get out of our face. Okay? What verse are you at?
Verse 32.
Read it.
And the men are shepherds, for their trade hath been to feed cattle, and they have brought their flocks and their herds, and all that they have. And it shall come to pass when Pharaoh shall call you and shall say, What is your occupation?
What is your occupation? What is your occupation? Read on.
That ye shall say, Thy servants' trade have been about cattle from our youth, even until now, both we and also our fathers, that ye may dwell in the land of Goshen.
That you may dwell in the land of Goshen and do what?
For every shepherd is an abomination unto the Egyptians.
That's why they try to downplay us being shepherds. We wasn't no shepherds. All these guys is dealing with Egyptology. Goshen was the Great Plains right outside of Egypt. So we had some of the greater plains because, you know, we were keeping the sheep and keeping the herds. You understand? So, and being a shepherd was an abomination to the Egyptians because they felt that was too, being Egyptian or being a king was too regal to tend sheep.
Is not valid.
That was too regal of a position to tend sheep. So it was an abomination to them. You understand? So that's why today Egyptians loathe Israel. We wasn't no stinking, that's what they'll say, we wasn't no stinking sheep herders. We were kings. But yes, we were sheep herders first. And then we became kings when Joseph came over and went into Egypt, and he gave his brothers stature and rulership, and he gave them rank in Egypt. And I'm going to prove that too. Go to Genesis 47 and 6. Genesis 47, and let's start at 6.
Genesis 47 and 6. The land of Egypt is before thee, and the best of the land make thy father and brethren to dwell. And the land of Goshen let them dwell. If thou knowest any men of activity among them, then make them rulers over my cattle. And Joseph brought in Jacob his father, and set him before Pharaoh. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Jacob, How old art thou? And Jacob said unto Pharaoh, The days of the years of my pilgrimage are 130 years. Few and evil have the days of the years of my life been, and have not attained unto the days of the years of the life of my fathers in the days of their pilgrimage. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh, and went out from before Pharaoh. And Joseph placed his father and his brethren, and gave them a possession in the land of Egypt.
Gave them what?
And gave them a possession in the land of Egypt.
So he gave his own brothers a possession within the land of Egypt. Those are Israelites taking Egyptian land and becoming rulers. Read on.
And the best of the land, and the land of Ramesses as Pharaoh had commanded.
So what land did he get?
And the land of Ramesses.
So the land of Ramesses was the land of kings. The land of Ramesses were the land of kings. Now I'm going to read this out of the Hebrew pharaohs of Egypt. It reads on page 57. There are four cornerstones to the accepted theory that Joseph and the Israelites arrived in Egypt at the time of the Hyksos rulers, and the Exodus took place more than 4 centuries later in the reign of Ramesses II, the third king of the 19th dynasty. The ethnic coincidence that the Hyksos were, like the Israelites, Asiatic shepherds. The reference of the Israelites having settled at Goshen in the Ramesses region, which is the only mention of a pharaonic name in the Old Testament. The 400-year still issued by Ramesses II, which provided a link with Avaris, the Hyksos capital. The biblical statement that the sojourn in Egypt would last 430 years. These facts fit together so neatly in many respects that they have had an irresistible appeal for the majority of scholars. So even all the scholars knew that they were hiding the Israelites under the name Hyksos. Let's go into the book of Josephus now, because this is the reason that this is how we know that Egypt was ruling, that the Israelites were ruling in Egypt. Hold that and get Exodus, the 1st chapter. Get Exodus 1. And the brothers that are in Egyptology, we know that they're going to close their ear to this. But brothers and sisters, just open yourself up, because it's not saying that you weren't the rulers of Egypt. You were. But you're not Egyptians. You're Israelites. So this is not taking away your dominion. You're taking away your future dominion by trying to hold on to an empire that the Most High already destroyed. Get Exodus, the 1st chapter. Yeah, we were the great kings in Egypt, but we fell, and we became slaves to Ramesses II. You got Exodus 1?
Mm-hmm.
Start at the 1st verse.
Exodus 1 and 1. Now these are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt. Every man in his household came with Jacob: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan, and Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls.
So it was 70 souls that walked into Egypt. And they came out, we came out a great nation. Read.
For Joseph was in Egypt already, and Joseph died, and all his brethren and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceeding mightily, and the land was filled with them.
So the land of Egypt started being populated by the children of Israel. We were having children like nothing there. So the Egyptians had to do what they do in the day, population control. Read.
Verse 8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph.
Ramesses II. This guy didn't have no respect for what Joseph did. See that? Read.
And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we.
Listen, they're growing up mightier than us. So what must we do? Read.
Come on, let us deal wisely with them. Let they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies, and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land.
So do what?
And so get them up out of the land.
So we were ruling the land of Egypt for them to say, get them out of the land. So they moved us all into the Goshen area. Originally, we were up with Ramesses first. Y'all see that? We were the governors all amongst that area. Until Ramesses II moved us out of the land. Read that part again.
Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies, and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasures, cities, Pithom and Ramesses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew.
So who built Pithoms and Ramesses for the Egyptians? The Israelites. That's common sense. Now I understand why there's no history of any new pyramids being erected. Because the Egyptians didn't do that. The Israelites, which were under the Egyptian rules, did that and built the great pyramids. Because once Israel left, no new pyramids erected. Common sense. And let's go back into, I have one other thing to get, because we all know that Moses became a great king or a great prince among Egypt. All right? Let's go to Acts the 7th chapter, and then we're going into the book of the Josephus. And I want you to hold that so we can go back to Genesis 46 along with the Josephus, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Read Acts 7. And please read the 22nd verse. Read that.
Acts 7:22. And Moses was learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptians.
It says, and Moses was learnt in all the wisdom of the Egyptians. Read.
And was mighty in the words and deeds.
See that? He was mighty in the words and deeds. So Moses was walking and acting like a what? Egyptian. He was dressing like a what? An Egyptian. All right? So Israelites during the whole Hyksos period. If you want to, you can go type in Hyksos period, and you can see all the great technology in Egypt really came during that period that we were there. All the great history, the plumbing systems, how to build certain things, all came during the time the Israelites were ruling in Egypt. Now, let's get the book of Josephus. All right, we're in the part Flavius Josephus against Apion. Okay. Flavius Josephus against Apion. The reason he was coming up against these philosophers is because Josephus was an Israelite. And he was coming against these philosophers because these philosophers were joining together to try to make the name of Israel extinct. They were upholding their own society's history and trying to demean or belittle the history of our people. So Josephus had to make a stand against these philosophers, letting them know, listen, you can promote your history without demeaning us. especially